Hey there, magical moms. Welcome back. In today's bonus episode, we're diving even deeper into Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure. So, if you haven't tuned into our first part of the episode where we covered the basics and why you should go visit and what makes this park so unique, go back and listen to that one before you jump into this one. Because this one, we're going to be talking our expert tips and tricks, give you some advice and a sample itinerary, and a few insider maybe tips and tricks that you don't want to miss. So let's get started and let's help you plan the perfect California adventure. We had a listener question, and this kind of sparked this episode, if you will. And the listener question was, I imagine Disneyland attractions are just like Florida's attractions. So is it worth a whole visit? Because coming from the East Coast, it's going to be a whole big thing. It's not a quick hop and a skip. It's a big adventure all the way to the West Coast. And here is our answer. So we kind of alluded to this, but let's go into more detail. Disneyland has a ton of unique attractions and lands. So Disneyland, specifically, their Fantasyland is much more, I would say immersive, okay, is probably the word. It's going to be a little bit more expanded. There are a lot of attractions hidden on every corner of Fantasyland. You even have the walkthrough through Sleeping Beauty's castle, which is a walkthrough attraction, but it is just beautiful, honestly. But you're gonna have other rides like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride that we lost in Disney World. You're gonna have Alice in Wonderland. The Storybook Land Canal Boats is a really cute ride as well. Pinocchio's Daring Journey and Snow White's Enchanted Wish. Um, Disneyland also has Toontown, which I also mentioned previously. We lost that at Disney World. It exists in Disneyland, and it's a lot larger. They just revamped it. They do have Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway there now, but you also have the Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin, which is just a cute little kiddie ride, if you will. But then they also have like the houses of the characters, and you can, do different things. They have like the little fire station and all the stuff for kids to interact with. And that is so needed in a Disney park, a park that's made for families. So you just need these playscape spaces. And so I love that we kept that in Disneyland. And we mentioned in Disney's California Adventure, Pixar Pier, the iconic Incredicoaster, and the Mickey Ferris Wheel, Adventures Campus. We mentioned all of these beautiful, amazing things. So while both resorts have similar attractions like Space Mountain and Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean, you will probably notice a little bit of slight differences in those attractions as well. And so if I get a client who's like, I'm typically going to Disney World, but I want to venture out to Disneyland, I can tell them like which ones they definitely want to do, or if they're completely the same. Okay. So one example here is you might think I've seen It's a Small World in Disney World. I don't need to do it in Disneyland. But in the when Disneyland, they have the whole outdoor facade. You can see the boats going through. And inside the ride, they have the dolls, the little Small World dolls. They're themed after Disney movies. Like at say Moana, she's going to be near the Hawaii section. Um, and Lilo and Stitch are there too. So it's like they make the little dolls into Disney characters. And so it's just super fun and unique and different. Same thing with Haunted Mansion. During the holidays, they're going to revamp it and change it over to Nightmare Before Christmas. So even though they have a lot of similar attractions, there's still going to be a lot of differences. And because of this, we definitely think that if you're a Disney fanatic and a family who loves Marvel, Pixar, you definitely want to add this to your list to check out.
I just want to add the first time I was in Disneyland was when I was in second grade. You guys, I'm like as old as shit. And I kid you not, the two coolest rides that are so different at Disney World, no knock on my Disney World, is It's a Small World, like Lena said, with the outside, just the beautiful gardens. It's not like just this building that like I don't know, looks like it should always be under construction of some sort. It's just so beautiful. And Haunted Mansion, like I just cannot get over like just how much better the scenery and the environment of those rides are, compared to Disney World. And like I said, I love Disney World and I'll ride those two rides at Disney World all day if I have to. But yeah, like even though it goes back to that whole size thing, even though it's smaller, like just the way that they do the rides in the area of the park, it's just so much more immersive and beautiful. I love it. Okay, so listener question here. We're going to get into what a sample itinerary could look like. A listener question asks, is 2 days in California enough to see and do it all at Disneyland? What do you think, Lena?
So I get this question even when I'm making consultations, and it really depends on what your intention is. Obviously, the same goes for Disney World. If your intention is to go to Disneyland one time or one time every 10 years, let's say, then you probably want to spend more time, as much time as you can possibly, because there are so many things to do here. You could stuff everything into 2 days and then only pick and choose the attractions that are completely unique here, but then you're gonna miss the magic of, let's say it's a Small World and Haunted Mansion and Pirates. So on more ideal itineraries, what I like to say is 5 days, 4 or 5 days, if you can, just because you're gonna wanna do a lot of things. Now, if you're flying from the East Coast, you could do a early morning flight and then, if you're not too jet lagged, spend that day in the park as well. So, of course, there's gonna be some accommodations, some changes made based on your travel plans, and this is where we come in and help you. But an ideal itinerary would be 5 days. Day 1, check in, just chill, get over your jet lag, just kinda get your bearings a little bit. Day 2, you're gonna spend a full day in Disneyland. Day 3, you would spend a full day in Disney's California Adventure, and then day 4, you would start in Disneyland, then hop over to DCA to finish anything that you didn't get done there. And then day 5 would be checkout. So that's my overall ideal itinerary that I recommend. Um, but again, me personally, I've done the whole fly in, check in, and then spend the evening in Disneyland because one thing that we haven't mentioned yet is Disneyland closes very late, typically majority of the whole entire year. So you may see a midnight closing. So that means if you have an early flight, you get land at 10 a.m., you get to your hotel by 12, and then you can take a nap if your room is ready early, and then head to the parks for the evening and still get a lot done, still get a lot accomplished there. So it depends on your comfort level and all of that as well. A couple of itinerary suggestions here. We suggest that you fly into John Wayne Airport if at all possible because you're closer to Anaheim. You're 30 minutes to Anaheim. If you fly into Los Angeles, you're looking at about an hour. But if it's heavy traffic, it could be way longer sitting in an Uber and then you're just racking up the points and, well, not points, money here, and time. That is just not ideal. So if you can fly into John Wayne, it's suggested to do that. Um, and then we also recommend that you stay on site, take advantage of that early entry. It can be as early as 7:30 in the morning, so you're getting in early, and once you get in early, you'll notice the difference here between Disney World and Disneyland. You can get so much done in those early hours. Not that many people rope drop Disneyland. It's just because there's a lot of annual pass holders here and a lot of locals who like to come after work or in the afternoon, so in the morning, you're gonna get a lot of a slower pace, which just is just honestly really nice. So if you can use that early entry and get in the parks early, and you'll knock out a lot of attractions that way. And then you can go back, take a nap, especially if you have kids, go to the pool, whatever, and then head back in the evening. Um, so it can break up your day as well. So, with that being said, do you have any tips for our listeners, Carla?
Yeah, I'm glad that you talked about the airports too, by the way, because someone who might not be familiar with that area could just, book a flight that seems really cheap and makes sense, but then realizes once they get there, holy cow, what did they just do, right? So yeah, I love how you broke up kind of like a Disneyland, a California adventure, and then a third day combining the two. I have a family that just came back, a family of four, and they did exactly that. They did Disneyland on day one or day two. Check-in was day one. They did California Adventure day two, and then this family went back to Disneyland the third day to do all the redo all the things that they liked. And it was plenty of time. They actually sent me an accomplished itinerary, they called it, of all the things that they did, and it was just incredible. And this is the month of they went last month in August, so I love that. And then yeah, the really nice thing, especially like for that park hopping day, is because the parks are so close, you could do like an early morning starting at Disneyland, get into like almost all the way up until lunchtime, and then hop over to DCA for lunch, stay there, do a handful of things. I mean, you flexibility is so key here. And with having us as your travel planners, what I love about doing Disneyland itineraries is like it's so much easier in terms of, okay, yes, I can do that because of the closeness of the parks and less time for traveling in between. So the sky is the limit. We've got some specific itineraries that we could share with you all day long, but really it's going to be unique to your family. And I think it also matters the age of the kids and what their favorite characters and attractions are, because while both parks have uniquely different attractions, there might be one that draws a family a little bit closer for a certain thing than the other one, which with Park Hopper you could do that all day long if you wanted. So those are my thoughts. And then I wanted to also go into just some tips. Is it okay that we head into some tips, Lena, or is there anything else you want to say about itineraries?
The only thing I can think of is a lot of people don't realize this, but we do take over clients like whole family vacations. So if Disneyland is just one portion of your trip, and you want to do a whole Southern California adventure, if you will. We can do that for you and we can set up everything for you. I've had families stay a week and they go and into Los Angeles after they are done with Anaheim, or I've had clients go into San Diego, which would be more south as well. So we can specialize this itinerary to your needs. A lot of people might not want to fly out to California for only a couple of days. And so that's where, our specialty shines here as well.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. I forgot to mention, my family that just came back from Disneyland. They also spent a full day in Universal Studios Hollywood, and then they did a beach day. So there's definitely a lot that you can do since you're going out that way, anyways. And I love that. That likely requires, car rental and all those things, which we can help you with. But yeah, there's so much to do if you're on that side of the border. West Coast is beautiful. Okay, so pro tips. Let's go into just some pro tips here that we have come up with when we think about planning Disneyland trips. Lena has already said this, but you definitely want to consider the benefits of staying on site at Disneyland hotels. To be right in the magic is unmatched. I mean, we feel the same way about Disney World. You have to stay on site. Like it's just unmatched to be in the Disney bubble, so to speak. But with Disneyland, you're literally steps away from like a private security entrance and private back entrance to Disney's California Adventure. And you get early access to the parks each morning, which will save you so much time in lines. And let's face it, if you're coming from the East Coast, you're going to be jet lagged anyway. So you're going to be up, even if early park entry 7:30 a.m. Duh, that's like lunchtime for you. So your butt
Yeah,
be up and rope drop anyways. Um,
right.
you definitely want to plan. So that's one tip, is staying on resort. You definitely also want to plan for weather. Southern California has mild weather, but it can be unpredictable. Mornings and evenings can be cool, even in summer. So you want to pack layers, including like a cozy sweatshirt, something that you can easily take off if you need to. Don't forget sunscreen. It's always often sunny there, even on the cooler days. So don't want to let that fool you. And then another tip, and this is the same for Disney World, they do have this in Disneyland, is mobile ordering. Cannot tell you enough that if you're looking for food and you don't want to wait in line, using mobile ordering in the Disneyland app in order to order food ahead of time, and so that you can skip lines. You can order it, and literally, if you pick a pickup time 5 minutes from then, if it's available, you can go pick up your food right away. Um, Lena talked about park hopping. You definitely want to maximize your park hopping here. Take advantage of the park's close proximity to hop back and forth, especially if one park is busier than the other. You can say, I'm out of here and go right next door. So, very, very convenient. And then, obviously, this is a tip I think on any vacation, but you definitely want to take rest when needed. So, consider taking an afternoon break, mid-afternoon break back at your hotel or in the downtown Disney district area if the day gets overwhelming. The parks are open super late typically, and the hours don't vary like they do in Disney World all the time, like by season. So it's more than fine to take a break. You're gonna find that you have plenty of time to get all the things in that you're hoping for. Anything else that you want to add, Lena? I know those are just the basics. We could keep going with all this, but I feel like that's a good variety.
Yeah, yeah, those are some good reminders because I think you're thinking, "Oh, Disneyland's chill, and I don't have to think about those things," but definitely want to take into account all of those things, um, similar to Disney World. I would say for Disneyland specifically, you had mentioned the park hours. When it comes to, like, summer and fall, like, basically the second half of the year, you definitely wanna check those park hours because they will have a lot of special events, and sometimes, like, grad nights and all of the, specially ticketed events that they have, even in, like, February, they'll have Sweetheart Night and things like that. So if you don't have tickets to that special event, then the park is gonna close early for you. And then this comes in account specifically for weekends because in Disneyland, they only have fireworks on the weekends. So if you're visiting on a weekend, you need to kind of maneuver, and so this is where park hopping is going to be your advantage because that Disneyland closes early, hop over to DCA, or vice versa. So make sure you're checking the park hours in advance of your trip so you can make adjustments as needed, especially if you're not getting that park hopper pass. You want to plan accordingly.
We hope that you enjoyed this whirlwind tour of Disneyland. This was super fun. I liked I don't know, I kind of like switching it up a bit and talking about Disneyland for a second here. So whether you're a seasoned Disney World pro or a curious Disneyland newbie, we hope we've sparked some excitement about planning your next magical adventure on the West Coast. There's always a new Disney experience waiting for you, so why not make your next trip one to Disneyland, right? That's what the three of us ladies are trying to figure out here for our next trip together. So we have not succeeded in that date yet, but hey, we'll let you know. So remember to like and recommend this episode rather, to someone, and be sure to follow us on the socials as we are on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. We would love to hear what you love most about Disneyland over on social media. And if you're looking to plan a trip to Disneyland, we would be honored to help you. Until next time, keep dreaming big and planning those magical moments.